Hello, welcome. This is Mr. Snyder, and this is my back to school night presentation. I am a math teacher. This is my classroom here. You can see a little bit of what it looks like. It's unfortunate that we have to do this remotely this year, but it seems like the smart thing to do. A little bit about me. I'm in my 14th year teaching, my 6th year at Amador. I teach Math 2, I teach Course 2, and I teach AP Calc BC. So those are very different classes. They're kind of all over the spectrum in terms of difficulty. And so I think my challenge in the AP Calc BC class is to keep everybody pushed and challenged and working really hard and to stay on top of the material as best I can. My challenge in the Math 2 class is to um, give students who've had negative experiences in math classrooms in the past a positive experience and to build their confidence and to improve their self-image and to earn their trust and show them that they're capable of doing math that they may not have believed they were. The course two is an accelerated pre-calculus class that the course one, course two sequence. The idea is that it fits 3 years worth of math into 2 years. So it's geometry, algebra two, pre-calculus. This year, I primarily focus on pre-calculus. There's a little bit of algebra two, but what I found with the pre-calculus text is that it reviews everything that's needed from algebra 2. So um, in the past, it's worked to just cover the pre-calculus, and when we get to areas where there needs to be extra foundational support, I just slow down and teach those things a little bit slower. Um, as I said, this is my 14th year teaching. It's my 6th year at Amador. Prior to Pleasanton, I taught in Oakland for 5 years and San Francisco for 3 years, where that experience really informed a lot of who I am as a classroom teacher. And I really do feel grateful for having started my career in those places. Originally, I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up in the town, a small town, 26 miles outside of Boston, where the Boston Marathon starts each year. So it was like one day a year we were on the map, and the other 364 days of the year, nobody had ever heard of us. Um, I went to college at UMass Amherst. I spent 3 years after college working in finance. I worked with retirement accounts. I did sort of work in finance and a little bit of sales um, avenue to it. And that I also feel grateful for because I sort of know some of the applications of the subject matter that I teach. Um, this particular year, I think, is going to be interesting. Obviously, the last 2 years have been interesting. Two years ago, um, the year ended very abruptly in March when we were hit, kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath our feet, and we didn't finish the year like we had expected to. And then last school year being a year where we may have been able to anticipate the changes to it, but still it was our first practice with distance learning. And I think there were obviously there was a lot of learning loss because we weren't able to teach as efficiently, and students weren't able to retain the information as efficiently. And quite frankly, people just had bigger things going on a lot of times where a school had to take the back burner to that. So I went into last year sort of thinking that it's going to be a different year, and the only way I can be successful is to make mistakes and learn from my mistakes, and not have as rigid of a long term plan as I would normally in terms of what percentage is this and what percentage is that and when are these tests going to be. And I think that was successful for me last year, and so this year I also think kind of the same way. I think that to act like we're back to normal this year would be naive. I don't think this year is completely normal. I mean, I think the masks make a big difference, but I also think that there were a lot of things that we learned about teaching and about education and about resources from last year that should be incorporated into the structure of my class this year. Um, so I do have a more of a firmer grasp on exactly how the class will be structured and how a grade will be awarded this year than I did last year. But I'm also being careful not to. I want to give myself some flexibility, some freedom, some room to adapt and to adjust to my students' needs and to feedback I get as to whatever I'm doing, if it's working, if it's not. I have a website that you can go to tiny.cc/SNYDERDYE, and you can see all of the assignments, and that's where your kids start each day, and that's helped me keep really organized. And I'm all available for email to talk with any of your with you about any of your kids, and I'm usually pretty good about replying, and I do value interaction I have with parents, and I'll certainly seek you out if there's any kind of issues that I need your support from. My experience in past years back to school night is it's more getting to know the person who's in charge of the classroom than all the X's and O's about how the class is going to be managed and run and executed and structured. So I'm not really going to go into depth about all the different things that your kid might read if they looked at a syllabus. But there is information out there, and I am available to answer questions. I am excited for this year. It's off to a good start, and I'm looking forward to um, continuing with it. So thanks, and enjoy the rest of your evening.